Welcome to episode 6 of the Equity Partner. This episode is really fun because we get a chance to speak to couples about managing money. They always say for better or worse, for richer or poor. And so we get a chance to talk to a young couple. And what I mean by young is young in their marriage. And so Rick and Shamika Hairston have taken the time to interview with me and talk a little bit about managing money. So Rick and Shamika, tell me a little bit about your how long you've been married, what your family dynamics are, and how long you were together prior to getting married.
Right. We've been married for a year and 2 months so far. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We've been together. This year it'll be 10 years we've been together.
Okay.
Our family dynamics, it's 3 of us, right?
Yeah.
We have a daughter that is 4.
Okay.
Turned 5, and I can't remember what other question you asked.
No, that's it. I mean, that's the basic. I wanted to find out how long you all have been together, and also you have one daughter that's 5 years old. Yeah. And so talk to me a little bit about just your personal background as it relates to managing money. Did you talk about money in the household? How were you raised around viewing money, managing money?
This is a conversation we've definitely had a few times in our relationship, because I'm just gonna be candid. Like growing up, I grew up in a single parent household, so my mom, she really didn't talk to us about how to manage money. So I felt like when God brought us together, it was a blessing because he had that financial background, and a lot of the information I learned about money and management was from Rick. So I really didn't know much about how to manage money growing up.
And so with me, like I'm in I'm in banking, retail banking, and work for a local credit union. So like that's day in, day out for me, and it's been like that for me since like 10 years now. I've been in banking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nine years overall.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just you pick up things, and then different positions you're required to know things, and you implement those in your life too as well. So it's helped us out it's helped us out individually first, and then it helped us out as a couple too as well. And then I'm coming from the similar background, single family household. The only difference I say is like my mom did like kind of teach us about the value of a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Like make sure you save your money. And my grandmother too as well. She was heavy on saving your money, spend when you need more so than when you want. But we still gonna get the things that we want. So so with us together, we just kind of like took our both upbringings and just kind of merged them together and went from there too as well to help us out too.
Yeah. I think it can be, anytime you merge into one, it's always, you got to balance each other out. You have to be a team. It is tough when you come from 2 different backgrounds, because that baggage you bring, together, and you got to figure out how to work through it. So would you say that your family backgrounds, were you all more buyers or savers, or how would you describe just the family dynamics?
I would definitely say I was more of maybe the buyer.
Okay.
Just because growing up, I really didn't have a lot growing up in a single parent household. So I guess when I got on my own, I felt like, oh, I have money. Mm-hmm. So I just spent a lot. So which kind of got me into trouble financially, but we're on the right path now. But yes, I would definitely say I was probably more of the buyer, not really a saver, because like I said, I wasn't really educated on how to save, how to manage your money.
Yep.
And then for myself, I'm kind of like 50-50. Like I was raised to be the saver, but like you get your own money, you start buying. But I will say, like myself, I bought within my means. So I didn't try to stretch it too much. I mean, at times I did. For whatever reason, I felt as though I go through a whole little step by step. Like, all right, man, you gonna get these because I'm big into sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, man, like I got a job at Finish Line not to save or get extra money. I got it just to get discounted sneakers, and I was buying sneakers, blowing checks, like blow my whole check through sneakers.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say like I was just more like in the middle. Like I value the dollar, of course, you know, but at the same time, if I see something that I want, you know, I was going to get it. I was definitely going to get it. Won't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Cars,
Yep.
you name it.
Well, you know, I will say too that, you know, and don't be ashamed about wherever you start, because most people who don't have, as soon as they get, they want to be able to reap some of the benefits of them
Yeah.
earning their own money, earning their own job. And you have to learn from those lessons. You know, hopefully you learn early, so that way you can make corrections. So long term, you know, Skylar can be straight, your daughter can be straight,
Yeah.
and you all can have a long term, you know, a longevity as it relates to positive experiences with finances. When you all first got married, you know, what type of views did you all have about managing money when you first got married? Like, what did you think it was going to be like? You combine incomes, you're living in a house, you know, you're splitting the bills. I mean, what did you think about, what was your thought process around getting married and managing money?
I think we kind of started out on the right foot. And the reason why I say that is because even before we got married, we shared a joint account years prior to that. So that kind of helped us out when it was time, because we already knew there was no issue about where's the money going to go. We were already sharing a joint account. And I think that's what made it a little bit easier for us. Yeah. Because we were already talking about how we were going to manage money before this even happened.
Okay.
And I think a few years before we got married, we had a financial advisor. Like, we had someone to kind of help us along the way before we even got married. So that was a turning point for us financially, which really helped us out a lot, because we got to see where both of us stand financially, and then like where we be once we got married.
I got you. Okay, perfect. What about you, Rick?
I mean, honestly, it's crazy how like the tables are turned, flipped around. Like, even though my background and my job, like, she's really the banker of the house. So like, because of the goals that she set, Shamika was like, yo, this is what's gonna happen. This is how much you're gonna spend. This, like, she reached out, she did all of it, like getting the FA4s, setting up sort of like setting up a joint account, like getting them, like, did you even put the money in the joint account? Like, what do you know? I'm like, in my mind at the time, I'm like, we ain't married yet, but she was setting the foundation for it. So, I mean, going through the years and looking to where we at now, man, like, we really did. We started from the bottom, and like, we worked ourselves up together to help build each other up financially, as well as help us build together, like our own things together financially. So like, I'm giving her all the props for all that. Like, I just want to make sure I give her all the props for that, because she really did put that in, and she made sure she put her foot down with like, yo, this is how we're gonna run it. This is how we're gonna pay our bills. And even if we were in like a jam, she would like already like be like, well, don't, let's not even worry about it, because remember, we did put this to the side. I set this emergency fund. Like, she did all of that, which is like, I'm forever grateful for that, because like, I save and I'm used to you doing it your own, and then you like, I just make it do what it do. Whereas like, you got your partner, and your partner is like, she doing that, but she taking it to a whole nother level with it, which it's been amazing. It's been awesome. Thank you.
And I think partly that mindset that I was in, or still in, is in because, like I stated earlier, I grew up in the struggle. So it's like, I don't want our child to live like that. I don't want that for her. So that's why I'm always trying to think ahead financially.
Yep. And it always takes one person, maybe two, but one person to kind of take the lead on certain stuff, whether they're the CFO of the house, or the most organized person, or the person that has, that wants to set goals to manage those funds, because at the end of the day, if you all are going in two different directions, that makes it more challenging with managing money. And I think, I commend Shamika for doing that, because I think it does take one of the two people to kind of step up and say, all right, I'll manage this part of it, you do this part of it, and let's stick to a plan and stay disciplined.
Yep.
So that's great. So Shamika, you were doing the right thing. So who would you describe, who would you say would be the spender and the saver in the relationship? I heard that Shamika manages the money. So now that you are married, you combine the accounts. Who is the one that's constantly either spending a little bit too much or trying to save so much that it leads to an argument?
She's a spender. She's really the spender, but she's frugal though. Like she always buying. And the crazy thing about it, Jeff, like you understand, like your wife is buying stuff all the time. Like, I see this receipt with all these items on here, and then next thing you see the bottom line, like, oh, well, dang, you only spent like $100 or $120. Like, dang, you got all this stuff or whatever. Like, but
keep in mind, I'm buying stuff for like groceries or house. It's never like
she
things
don't
for
really
myself.
splurge. Like,
it's never really. It's always household items or groceries or anything like that. Like, I'm very frugal when it comes to
essentials.
Like,
essentials.
No, I for myself. Like, I really don't get much for myself.
Nah, she doesn't. And I mean, it's even rubbed off on me a little bit. So like, I've scaled back from buying things that I used to I wouldn't even think I'd just go get and cop. But now I just bought some earbuds, Apple AirPods. It took me like 2 years to get those because I just kept like, I'm gonna get them, and not getting like, I found something else I can spend my money with.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like Jordans and kicks. Like, I took a real like chill on that and just bought like a pair of kicks for like, and not even that, it's just taking me forever. Like, I go on there, I look at them, but like we really locked in on like some goals that we have and some things that we want to get accomplished. So really, I don't.
Now it's more of like, okay, like our decision making is like, all right, is this a want or is it?
Yeah, it's really is like it's a want or a need, and then you just see like how things are going on with this climate too as well. Like, it's kind of it's been perfect. We made those decisions at the time, and it's paying off for us now. That we were like, oh well, yeah, we have this money now. What do we want to do with it? We have this saved us, or how do we want to use it? So I guess you could say she's truly the spender of the family, but at the same time, well, I say this, I throw a curve on it. She's the spender. She spends a lot, but when I go and spend something, I spend more because I go and get like, she hates when I go to the grocery store. Like, I go, I'm gonna get everything. I'm not getting the Walmart brand, Kroger brand. Nope.
Get all the good stuff.
All the good
quality.
Yeah, quality. Yeah, I definitely miss the quality. Like, that would be me. So, yeah.
No, that's understandable. I mean, I think everybody has different spending habits, and sometimes you're gonna splurge, and then sometimes you're gonna scale back. But it's the balance of being disciplined to stay within the budget you all are setting. And so that's the key. I think you all are doing a good job, at least recognizing what you need to do. And then now it's about executing. So when I got married, when we got married, we had a lot of arguments early on about money, just because we both were young and we were trying to get it. And we, again, had the same mindset that, now we have a little something so we can spend a little bit more. So it caused a lot of arguments. And so what arguments have you had about money, and how have you resolved those arguments?
Honestly, I don't feel like we argue much throughout our relationship about money. I don't think so. I think it's just been more of like, is this really a want or need? That's like really like whenever there's like, he wanted to make a purchase, I'm like, do you really want this or do you need this? You know what I mean? And I think that's what's caused like I don't know. I don't think it's been an argument, but it's just been more of like like, you know, more like moment. Like,
Yeah.
would you say like?
We haven't had too many arguments directly. Like we've had arguments based from money, but not about money.
Okay.
Like it's basically like it started about something else, but then it come around and like, oh, well, this is why you mad because of this, that. Like it'll come out, but not really, not too much about spending this, that, and the third. Like we kind of like we're not a real argumentative couple, I guess you say. Like we don't, because we just both. She's such a even keel, chill person. Anyway, I've tried to piss off and I can't, and so I just don't. So I just tried. I've tried and I have not been able to. But at the same time, like money wise, we haven't had too many. Like I should say, that's been the underlying root of things. Like, oh, it's money. We talking financial. That's why it's so.
I think to answer your question is mainly probably the reason we haven't is because, like I said earlier, growing up, I didn't really have a lot of education when it came to money. So I knew that he had that background. So really anything that he said about money, I was like, you know, like intrigued by it. Yeah. So I kind of followed what he said, but then I challenged him by asking him like, okay, do you really need these shoes or is it a want? Or like, and I think that's what, to answer the question is, it's not really been arguments. It's more like we'll challenge each other on a purchase. Like, is it a necessary purchase or not?
I remember we got the TV when we first started living together, but we still have it to this day. But this big, remember 3D TVs were the thing? Like, man, she gave me hell for that.
I think that was the biggest purchase we made.
That was the biggest purchase we made, but she gave me hell for buying that 3D TV. And now I'm like, we use the glasses maybe twice. It was like, she's like, I don't know why you got that TV. And then she was like, you put the glasses on. She put the glasses on. Oh, okay, that's nice. She had fun. Now you can get that same TV for like $300. Yeah. Like, Samsung, give me my money.
Yeah. That I think we all have an interest in purchase. We wish you would take back. So at least it was a TV. It wasn't a car. It wasn't something that was too expensive. But we all will make an interest in purchase in our lifetime. What as a couple, who's on your financial team? You talked a little bit about a financial advisor. Who is on your team to help you all get to the goals that you want to meet?
As of right now, we're just kind of each on each other's team. We don't really have a financial team anymore, unfortunately. But I think it was a blessing that we had that when we did before we got married, because it kind of gave us the set a plan for us, a rule, like a guidelines of what we need to do on our own. So that's kind of what we've been doing. And just, I think now, like our go-to is more so like financial podcasts or any like YouTube videos that we can watch. So that's really been our saving grace, like financially, to help us out along the way.
Reading articles. Like I have 2 older brothers. I have you, Jeff. Like I studied you guys for myself as a husband, like just to see the moves you guys make, you know, and little jewels and gems. I hear you guys, you talk about or whatnot. Like I just pick up on it. I keep it and run with it, you know. We don't have the FA anymore program or anything like that because I think we locked down so much on ourselves that we were like, we ain't paying for that. No, like we could do this ourselves, you know, we could discipline ourselves. So podcasts, definitely, like a lot of podcasts, a lot of reading, and just like I said, a lot of just being around, you know, older people or people who've been doing this, vets. Like Jeff, you're a vet this game. Like, so you say something, I definitely, I'm with it and I listen and I roll with it too as well. So, and then parents, you know, like, you know, little things that they say, we might ask about, like, what's your opinion on it?
Yeah. Well, I will say, I mean, I think you're doing the right thing by listening to podcasts, by reading as much as you can, by taking the advice of your older brothers. I think that is definitely the start. I do think you all should consider building a team. Building a team is and that doesn't mean a team that you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money to, but making sure you have some type of CPA that you can go to that does your taxes, making sure you're having conversations with some type of financial advisor. It can be a financial advisor at your current bank, but somebody that is at least saying you are here and that's keeping you accountable for whatever you all want to accomplish. And so you have to start somewhere, even if you start small, but having that team to keep you accountable can be helpful, because you can have the biggest goals, of anybody, but if you don't have somebody to say, you know what, well, in order for you to reach that goal, you need to do this, this, and this. It kind of gives you a little bit more direction. And so that's definitely something you all should consider as you all continue to move along as a couple. Do you all feel like you have all the key steps in place to achieve your goals? When you think about, you have a 5-year-old daughter, she's eventually going to want to go to school. She's going to eventually want to get married rich. She's eventually going to want a car. Do you feel like you all have the key steps in place to accomplish those goals? And if you don't, what do you feel like is missing?
I definitely feel like we're learning every day. We're learning as we go. As you know, being a parent is not an easy job. So it's like you learn as you go. I think we took like some of the lessons that we learned as a kid, and we're like, we don't want that for our child. So I think that's kind of what's helping us along the way. I do agree with you when you say we should consider maybe having a financial team. I think that's something we definitely should consider. I think that would probably be the only piece that we're missing. Because like I said, we're just going off of podcasts or just reading. I think we definitely would benefit from somebody who's an expertise in that area. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
I'm gonna keep it 100. Like the only thing I think we're missing, truthfully, is just increasing our income. Like having more money. The more money we can make, the more money we can save. So it's just keep striving to better our overall, better our bank account, improve and increase our wealth and our worth. So once that as that continues to improve, and building the team, like I appreciate that, because I definitely hadn't thought about it in that sense, because you do need that. You need accountability. We are each other accountability partner, but financially too. If you had that third party, it's way better. It's way easier. It's someone that says both of y'all, you need to, hold us as one together.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I was reading was recently was that whether it's a CPA or FA, they can kind of serve as a referee between you all, to kind of help to say, all right, Shamika's right, Rick, you need to do this, or Rick's right, you all need to do this in order to get to where you need to get to. And so sometimes that accountability partner can play a key role in helping you all, being a person that's not directly in the household, that's outside of the household, and saying this is what you need to do to get to the next step. You talked a little bit about increasing your earnings, and I think there's several ways you can do that by increasing your earnings, but also just looking at your debt. I think a lot of people want to make more money, and they end up spending more money, and they haven't looked at what their expenses are to say, all right, how can I lessen my expenses or pay off debt so I can free up some cash? Because it might not necessarily be the top line. It might be what's in the middle that's affecting the bottom line. So you always got to look at both and say, all right, these are all my expenses. This is my income. Where can I improve my expenses first? And then how can I create more income to supplement what I have? And so, but that's a great point. I mean, the first step is thinking about it, reading about it. So when you go to a financial advisor, at least you're more educated about what you need. The next question I had is just how do you all currently budget? Do you use an Excel spreadsheet? Do you use an app? What are you using to help you all figure out, all right, this is what I need to pay for groceries. This is what we're going to have every 2 weeks. How do you all budget today?
Really, we just kind of go off of our bank account and just kind of I think we just kind of communicated a little bit more about it now. So we really don't have like a Excel method right now. We just kind of just kind of go off of like looking at our accounts and then kind of talking over like, all right, this is what we have, this is what we need to spend.
Yep.
And go from there. But I
no, I mean,
you go ahead.
Well, remember when, and this is something she had me do, and now I'm kind of finding out, I guess she's not doing it anymore, but we when we had the financial advisor, she had us download like all these like Coinbase app, not Coinbase, but these bank apps that track, your spending and things of that nature. I mean, I still use them.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean Mint.
Yeah, the Mint, like using Mint and everything, and kind of going from there. We're not doing Excel spread, like breaking all the way down to that code, which probably should. Like we should, because you can account for every penny too as well to make sure everything is there. But really, we just kind of, because everything is joint now. Like we have what? He can take that out. Hold on, Joe. Hold on. Yeah.
We're good to go.
All right. So so like we had the Mint app and everything. We're using that, but trying to think what else. That's really it. Like we probably should like go ahead and sit down like and do a spreadsheet of it. But because now everything is joint with us, like I think what she has her own individual account. I have my own individual account, but pretty much like we kind of base it at like our direct deposits from our jobs go into our joint account, period.
I got you.
And then we take that money and we kind of divvy it up however we want to on that note, to have your own. We even had a method of, and we still have a method of, even when we get paid and when we don't get paid, every week we take $100. Mm-hmm. And that $100 is for you to use it however you please. Yep. And of course, it's covering gas and things of that nature, but whatever you do is whatever you do with that. The rest, if you need it over that, then that's when we come to the table and we go negotiate. Like, that sounds bad, but we go to talk to each other like, yo, all right, so this is what we're trying to purchase. This is what we need to do. This is why or whatever, and we go from there. Like, which half the time is just like, babe, go get it. It don't matter. Like,
yeah. The apps that you can use, they are good starting points. I mean, because you can set goals and Mint, and there's some other apps too that I've heard about that I'll share with you all as well, that I've heard some good things about how to manage money. And it looks at your bank account similar to Mint, but it also you can set goals within there that if you want to save, it'll basically track how you're saving. But Excel is, using Excel is like a free format that you can use. That honestly, I use Mint, but I also use an Excel format, and I'll put in there, how much we're making, and I'll put in every single item as far as what we're spending, and I use that information based on our bank statements, what we've spent in the past, and that's how I build a budget. And so I do think it's important to build a budget, because that's when you can figure out, what you're spending that you don't necessarily need to spend. And you can also put a line item for yourself. Just like you all said, whether it's $100 or $50 or $200, you can put some type of line item in your budget to say, all right, this is how much I'm going to save for Skylar, or this is how much I'm going to save for myself. And that way it's already expense. So regardless of where your income goes, it's already in your budget. And that's something that's a must have and a must do that's on your list. But budgeting is key. I mean, I think it's also going to be key to you all accomplishing those goals that you want to have for yourself. The other thing is, how often do you all discuss finances? Is it a weekly thing, monthly, or does it just come up as needed?
I think it's more as needed. Definitely at this time during quarantine, because it's like we're not really going anywhere. We're not really doing anything. If anything, we're just going to go to the store to make grocery purchases or little things here and there on Amazon. But when we're back at work, I mean, I'm pretty sure the conversations will come back up again. Maybe weekly they'll come. Maybe once a week we'll have that discussion about, okay, where are we at? This is what we need. It's more so like this is what we need for the week. This is what Skylar needs for the week. What are your thoughts? And then we kind of go from there.
Yeah. Like, I think honestly for us, the quarantine, and I hope for everyone, the quarantine has really kind of financially has benefited us, because I drive all day, every day for work. So I'm spending mad money on food and gas. Like, even cooking and meal prep and all that, that's cool. Still, you're spending more, Now being at home, I've been running off the same tank of gas for probably a good 2-3 weeks now. And, you barely go anywhere. And, you take that money, those expenses are pretty much gone. So we've just been really, not on purpose, but just been pocketing that money. We've been saving because of what's unfortunately has occurred. Yep. But I do know, like she said, once everything opens back up, which in whatever capacity it may be, it's going to be a difference. And yeah, we'll sit down and we'll discuss. Probably we'll sit down and discuss beforehand, because even like I know with Shamika's job, they pretty much now they're starting to like go back out. So she's going to have to go back out seeing clients and things again too as well. So we had to, navigate and come up with a new game plan of how we're going to spend and what we're going to spend and who does what, how to benefit her too as well. So I would say that, but go back to answer your question, probably when it comes, like we don't have a set, like we just sit down. We used to, we're really starting it off. We would sit down once every week and sit down and plan it. And all right, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. Or this is what you've been doing. This is what I've been doing. And we looking at the account. This is what bill is coming up next. Because we put everything together. Like my debt, her debt, whatever. Like we're attacking it and have been attacking it together. So to get it off quicker, because so the goal is to be debt free. Like we don't none of that, no parts of that, no owing to nobody.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing you all said too was just, you talked about not discussing it all the time and how quarantine has helped you. I think a lot of people hopefully have taken advantage of the quarantine. I have kids that have after school care. I have kids that also have gym expenses, stuff like that. And most of those expenses are on pause. And so because they're on pause, it is an opportunity to save money. And so hopefully, a lot of people aren't, going to Amazon and ordering everything off Amazon because they have more money. But it's a time to build your savings as well, especially if you couldn't save in a normal environment that well, this is the perfect time to do it. Unfortunately. And fortunately for you all that have jobs that still have income coming in, so I think that's a good thing that you're doing. What goals do y'all have? When you talk about goals, you all have talked a little bit about, one, making more money, but two, having a daughter. So what goals have you all set for yourself to try to save and achieve for?
I think our biggest one now is probably home ownership. Right now we're currently living in a townhome, and Skylar's getting older, so we do want to be able to have, a home where she can have a backyard and all those things. I think that's always kind of been number one, but more so now, like that's a big thing now. Because we are married, because we are a family now, we want to grow our family. That's kind of number one. And then, of course, we want to be able to work for ourselves, hopefully, one day. Yeah, so those are probably the two biggest things. But number one is probably home ownership.
Yeah, there's a couple that's definitely number one. Number one is home ownership the next 1 to 2 years. And then myself, I made it a goal. I don't really tell her anything about it, but because of the platform, I don't want her working. That's my main to retire my wife. And have her at home and being able to do like have her own business, but at her speed and be able to be home just so that Skylar, she hollers about she wants a brother or sister. So I know that's gonna take more time too as well, and have her there so that she can take care of the kids and just really hold the house down. And I have no problem with going to get the as they say, going to get the food and bring it back home. So I've set up certain things to make that transition. Hopefully within the next. I mean, I put for myself 5 years, but I'm working to make it as soon as possible. Like I'm trying to get that really going for her and for us, because of not just financial but other things too as well. So we just want to make sure we just having everybody as comfortable as possible. As this quarantine has spoiled us, man. This quarantine really spoiled us. So she said something the other day that made me just like, it was like that accountability, self-accountability kicked in when she said it. But she was like, I really enjoy my time being at home and enjoy my time being with Skylar. She was like, this Skylar need what, and I found out that my daughter needs me. She was like, because I could see the difference in the growth in her when it comes to scholastically and just her personality. She's 4, but she still she's like a baby, so her whining, all that stuff has changed. Just because we've been more hands-on with her, we've been able to really just focus down and just like be there. Well, and Shamika has really been like the greatest for her, and I've seen the growth in her. She's reading now. Like I was reading an article last night on CNBC. She was like, the market, and she was trying to make out like millions. She was like so little things like that is just like, all right, this is what it's supposed to be like. Yeah. Like this is what it's supposed to be, and I want that to happen for my wife, and I want that to happen for my daughter, and for whatever else God blesses her with, another daughter, son, twins, whatever they may be. I want that to be the case.
Yep. I think too, what it boils down to is like, I mean, you probably can agree with this too. It's like when you're working, you're just thinking like, all right, I'm trying to do this to provide for my family, and you're just constantly going, you're constantly moving, you're constantly going. And it's like, you feel like, as a parent, I can speak for myself, like as a mom, you feel guilty because you're just constantly doing stuff. And think about it. I mean, you probably see your teacher sees your child probably 8 hours of the day, and you see your child probably like what, like 4, 3. And it's like, you feel guilty, but now it's like the quarantine is like, oh wow, like you really have more time, even though you're trying to balance work-life balance, but you feel like you can actually have lunch with your child, or, like, and I think that's what he's getting at.
And I want to continue allow that to have that. Like I want you to have that, like, because I want to have that myself, and that my time's gonna come. But I'm just the type of person, I put my family and my obligations as a man and a husband before anything. So I want my daughter to have her mom 24/7. I want her to have her best friend too as well. Because that's all she has right now. So that's kind of like I said, when she said that. It was just yesterday you said that. I'm like, oh, yep, you know what? I gotta put in overdrive. Like gotta make sure I really put the pedal to the metal on that and continue to do what I'm doing, and then increase that too as well, so we can get her out of feeling like, oh, I gotta go back to work and doing like, nah, nope, you don't. You can go, you can sleep in, get Skylar up. She's got a whole schedule out for this girl and everything. It's so just the school. It's like she's still in school, but she's just in mommy school, and it's been great to be a part of and help out too as well as just to see it go on, and that interaction, that mother-daughter interaction has been amazing.
I think the stay-at-home mom role is an underpaid, extremely valuable role, and so I think for those that have the finances to do it and make it work, it can work out to a well-balanced life, and so and I think you all having a goal of home ownership as well as entrepreneurship. I think those are great goals as well, and you don't have to wait until you have $1 million in your account to start. So that's with entrepreneurship as well as home ownership. And so one thing that I tell people about too, that desire to own a home is to have a conversation with someone, whether it's a mortgage counselor or there's a lot of different programs for new home buyers. And so if you have not had conversations, met with someone, even if it takes a year or 2 years to build your profile, up, so that way you are a qualified potential home buyer. Do what it takes to get to that point, because one, it's the freedom of knowing that something is yours, but two, every single payment that you're putting towards that home is additional equity that you can have, and you can be able to pass along to someone else. So and that ownership of that home. And so when I bought my first home, just to give you a brief example, my home didn't cost that much. I think I put down about 3.5% of the amount of the home. And then I met with a counselor where I had to go to classes, and they had to teach me about real estate ownership, and that it's not, you're not just paying a monthly mortgage, you're also paying for the maintenance of that place, and you got to be able to maintain it and keep it in good order. But they prepared me for buying a home. And I think, for any new homeowner looking to do the same thing, they need to have conversations with people that can help them and guide them through that process. And there are people and their programs. And I've heard about a program recently where you can go in with as little as 0% down, and they'll finance 100% of the house. But you have to go through a rigorous program in order to be qualified to be listed in that program. So do your research, Google as much as you can to find out about different programs to help new homeowners, talk to real estate agents, because there might be a program that fits you all perfectly, where you can kind of check that home ownership thing off your box earlier than what you might believe. And so, but you got to start. You got to do the research, and then you got to get going and get that process started. Because one thing for sure is you all have income, which is the first point to verify, to make sure somebody can afford it. I mean, the same thing you needed to provide when you wanted to figure out how you can rent. So good point. I think those are two great goals. Budgeting is going to help with entrepreneurship, and also helping Shamika be a stay-at-home mom, because you got to figure out what your expenses are and what you need to make in order to be able to cover her share of the finances today in order to get to that point. So the last part this is the 10th question. It's a speed round question. So this is the fun part. We don't have to be too serious, but so there was a game going around where people were closing their eyes, and you had to point to who's doing what or who's the best at what. So I'm gonna ask you guys to close your eyes. Fortunately, you're in your own house, so nobody's gonna pick you up or run in there. But if you could close your eyes, I'll ask 5 questions, and then I want you to point to the person that represents the question or statement I'm making. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so who spends the most money? All right. Who saves the most money? All right. Who is the risk taker? Okay. Who is the most organized? All right. And who has the biggest ideas or goals? Perfect. I appreciate it. You all, you'll be able to see who won and who pointed at who once we put the video out. But I appreciate you all's time. One thing I do want to say is that you are in a good place. You are much further ahead than where most people are. Be happy about where you are and accomplish those goals, even if it's a small goal. Be happy about every accomplishment you make, because it's not about who has the most or who's doing the most. It's about what you and your family individually can accomplish. So I think you're on the right track, but now it's time to put a lot of those ideas into action. So be proud of where you are and just keep plugging away. And I think you guys are on the right track. You only been married a year. I've been married 12. So it's been a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of other people have been married much longer than me. So I appreciate you guys joining the Equity Partner, and hopefully we'll be a partner in you all's success. And thank you again to Shamika and Rick.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Let me stop recording.